Hey guys, WheatyWaffle here today, and we're doing something a little bit different to start this video off. We're actually going to do a time-lapse intro where I begin to build out the base of our new ore mining pit. The idea behind this is that this is an ore industry that's been around for a long time, and they've kind of redeveloped the pit itself to include the factories and the warehouses for the surrounding industry. So what we do in this time lapse is just kind of get the initial land and terraforming done, as well as building out a cargo station and the highway interchange connecting to this ore industry pit. And if you want to skip ahead to the actual live gameplay, you can jump up to, I think, 3 minutes and 54 seconds. But otherwise, this is just me kind of getting the initial bearings together, and then we'll start building the actual ore industry together back in the live gameplay. So go ahead and enjoy, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. All right, so a little different today. We had a little time lapse to start off the video, but here is what we've kind of ended up with. We have a beginnings of an ore mine. So we've got the highway connection. Everything here is connected up. You can go both directions. You can feed in and out of this area. And then we have the traditional kind of ore mine descent that happens as an ore mine develops and grows. And because ideally this will become a 5-star ore industry, we're going to have it kind of slowly snake its way down into the actual mine itself. We have our own power generation for this area since we're kind of far away from the whole rest of the city. And we've reconnected to the cargo line that feeds outside the city as well as connects all the way over to the Port Aleutian over here. here. Ideally, in the future, this cargo line will connect all the way over to this farming industry that we have over here on the far outskirts of town in Rosewood Square, but we're not there just yet. It's going to be a minute before we reach all the way over there. For now, I think the focus is going to be at least getting this to, I hope, a level 2. I've already tried to record this episode once already, and I was struggling with getting the workers, and I also just didn't like the layout that we ended up with, so I'm kind of redoing that now, just so that we can get a little bit better of a industry happening over here. I want it to be something we're proud of. So let me go ahead and just kind of finesse these curves a little bit, not a whole ton, but I do want to have some kind of curve that looks nice as we go up this hill. Just from above, that one didn't look so great. So now it's time to actually, I think, begin building out this industry. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously go ahead and mark this all as ore industry. To begin, we need a entrance building. We need a what is this called? Main building. I'm thinking I would like the main building to be kind of up here on this main road, so we might even need to expand this industry area just a little bit, but I would like the industry's main building to be up here off of Greenaway Boulevard. So why don't we, or should we put it over on this side, overlooking the ore industry? I think that's what we'll do. So let's go ahead and bring in one of these roads. You come off of here, I think we'll have a road that comes straight on out, and let's keep it to the ground. I don't know why it's deciding to raise for this little section here, but we're gonna force it to stay on the ground because I don't want it to do that. So bringing out 20 units. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then I think right off of this road is where we're gonna end up putting the actual main building. I am going to go back through later on, probably off camera, and just kind of clean up the edges of this district once we have really started getting things going here. So let's go ahead and put down the main building, and the main building unlocks 3 things for us. We got the small ore mine, the sand storage, and the ore grinding mill. Now the small ore mine is going to be our extractor building, which will go over to the sand storage to be held, and then that storage will then feed these ore grinding mills, which will produce metal. So if we actually switch over, you can see here we got ore into metal, and eventually we'll get it into these commercial and unique factory goods. So with this here, I would like to, let's jump down in this area. It does make it hard to see, and I still haven't really figured out these toggles yet to how to make it so that it turns off this like overlay. I don't really want the overlay, but if Jackson Street is our main road, I'm actually going to want these buildings to be just off of Jackson Street. So I'm going to place one for now, just so that I can get a road in here, and then we're going to flip it around so it's facing the other direction. So if I place a road here, and then we move this so that we're placed against this road. Oh, much better. So what is this? This is a small ore mine, and I believe it produces up to 4,800 units, and it employs 25 people. So why don't we place 5 of these next to each other? 1, 2, 3, or we could even do 6 and do them so that they're facing this direction. There's 1 on each side. And then let me rework these roads a little bit. So if we've got 6 here, this road could come off of this last one. I just want to make sure we're leaving ample space for all of the different pieces we're going to unlock. And then let's also go ahead and put in, to use the nature reserve. Ooh, maybe, does this show up? I don't believe, because I've painted this whole area with the farming, I don't think this is going to show up as a path. No. So instead, let's use the nature reserve path and just kind of connect things up this way. What we're going to do is we're going to go around all of these different buildings. Bring this to here. Oh, we're auto-saving. And then I'm actually going to lower each of these to the height of the entrance area. It is going to slink up here, but this allows for a really strong cliff face. Now, it's a little bit of clipping. We could probably correct that if I were to take all of these and just scooch them back a little bit, we can then kind of correct that crazy clipping. And then I think if we move this guy up, we can also just kind of fix that curve a little bit. So now we've got a nice set of pathways that people can use to get to and from in this area. I don't know how useful they'll be, but we're going to put them anyway, just in case people do start walking around here. So then let's go ahead and do the same on the back side. And if I just carry this all the way through, we can then come off of here like so, and just kind of connect these a little bit closer so they're actually touching the road. Okay, that looks fantastic. So we've got 6 of these extraction plants, and now we're going to need to take the things that have been extracted and store them somewhere. If we can, do we think we can fit 2 of these back here? I don't think so. I think they are far too big. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work that way. But what we could do... let's place one of these. We're going to face it this direction just very quickly so that we can then get a road in here and bring a road straight out. I'm going to back that road up. And we're going to rotate these so they're off of Jackson Street, because I want Jackson Street to kind of service as a little bit of a collector. Even though it's just a 2-lane road, I want to make sure that we leave space for that to... leave space so that the trucks aren't stopping on that road unless they absolutely have to. Let's go ahead and bring this to here. If we do a 2 or 3 by 3 turn, a 3 by 3 turn, this can come straight on down. Do we like that? I don't know if I like that. I would kind of rather just connect it up like this, and we can leave this space for, maybe we can leave this space for some utilities. So we've got 2 areas for storage. So what we'll do actually, because we have this set up in this way, let's just go ahead and make this a loop. If I turn off the collision, we can set this to 1 way. And so as you're here in this area, you can come on in and you can reach these buildings here, or you can just completely bypass this and come around and come over to these storage facilities. So this will be an easy way to get around. We actually, you know what, looking at this, let's change this again. Instead, because the entrance for these roads, for these storage facilities is at the end of the 1-way, why don't we make this just a 1-way road this way? So if you're interested in stopping at any of these extraction buildings, you can do so by coming in this way. But if you want to just come to get your goods, you can use the other entrance. We will need a way for you to kind of turn around here. They will automatically, but we'll have to remember that we need to add some kind of turnaround for this section. Now, once you have done all of this, you've gotten your goods, we are going to need to put in some ore grinding mills to turn this into metal. Now, I'm thinking we could put them up here if we wanted, or we could even put these, if you're coming out of here, you would need to take these somewhere. So we could bring a road straight along from here. This would no longer be a 1-way. We've kind of gotten rid of that system at this point. But we could have some buildings in here for the processing. So if I were to put this down, add in a road again, and then we just kind of move this over. We could place this here. Let's turn back on collision. And if we place, why don't we do, we have 6 of those processing plants, so why don't we place 4 of these kind of all together here, so that they are all next to each other. I don't actually think we want a space in between. I would rather have these kind of stationed like this, and then actually using move it, just kind of inch them over once more. Maybe not a whole 1 space. So we're just going to go like this, just so that they're touching. But that way they kind of look like a little bit bigger facilities instead of these tiny little guys that they are. And then let's actually back this up and bring this straight along like this. How does that look? I don't think we need this back road because there's nothing feeding off of it. But for this, why don't we make it, if you come on in here, we could then set this to be the one-way, feeding outwards. So you would be able to get your goods here. You can come back up and go out and around. It would cause a lot of crossover here, which I don't necessarily love. But if this road is a one-way road, you would have to go this way anyway. So why don't we do that? Let's make this a one-way road. And this one-way road is going to probably continue all the way to the edge and come straight on down to there. So that's a one-way. This can also then, I guess, be an extension of the same one-way. And just at least gives us some type of loop. This can be a two-way road because we have these extra entrances. But I don't think that's too bad. Should this just empty out? Instead of going this way, what if this actually came over here? And for now, we're just going to bring it all the way over. I want to see how big the factory, the medium factory, it would fit really nicely. Just kind of like right behind these guys. Can it fit in this little area? No, it's just too big. So we could put this here. And the ore would be placed, or the metals would be placed in this factory or warehouse. So you would come on in, pick up your goods from this kind of quicker entrance. You can just bypass the extraction side. You'd come on down, you'd pick up your goods, they'd come around, drop them off here. Then if you're interested in these guys, you can come right along in here, pop right on in, and come over to this area where you could then exit. Now we could also think about doing another one-way going in, and this would be used for the people who are interested in just coming on in and over. Actually, this could be a two-lane. And the idea for this would be if you want to come on in and you need to get right to this warehouse, you can kind of just do that by bypassing this extra loop. Or if you wanted to leave, once you dropped off these, you could leave right to this intersection. Let's do that and try it out. Now, again, I do want to make sure we're putting some paths around here. While this is running and we're testing things out, we will then go ahead and do some detailing in between. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and hit play. So what is this place being called? If I need to turn back on, what was it? Not districts, it was E, I believe. This is called Complex. Let's call it Complex Pit. Complex Ore Mine. There we go. And we currently are employing 76 workers, and we need to have 150 workers and 500 resources produced to the next level. The resource production will absolutely be able to reach no problem. It's going to be the workers that's the challenge. This does need water, but now everything here is watered up. Everything is powered. Why don't we, while we're here, go ahead and set up, and while this is just beginning to get started, let's set up a second water plant for this area, just so that it has its kind of own dedicated water. We've got a great flow of water coming over from here. So we could kind of set up just, 1, 2, 3 water pumps together. We'll take this right over here to the bridge area, to the highway, and send it straight on down the highway corridor. And then this is going to need a little bit of power. Instead of doing something totally crazy, why don't we just give them their own windmill? These guys will all be powered, and then our water should go boop, 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 and we should be just fine in terms of water availability. All right, I think that looks good. Okay, so over here at Complex Ore Mill, or COM, what do we have going on? We have 115 workers, which is great. It looks like one of our pieces here is starting to fill up. So while this is beginning to go, I am going to just take a second here and keep an eye on the traffic as I do some trees, and then we're going to kind of just let it run until we can reach level 2. Hopefully this is enough. If we have to add anything else, I'll jump back into some live gameplay. All right, so we just reached level 2. I did have to actually add one additional extraction point, but we're going to actually get rid of that now and replace it with some of these new buildings. So we have the Ore Industry Workers Barracks, the Industrial Steel Plant, Glass Manufacturing Plant, ore storage, and small ore mine underground. So let's go take a look at each of these and just kind of get an idea of what the difference is here. We're going to actually slow the game down. Our small ore mine produces 4,800 units per week with 25 workplaces, whereas our small ore mine underground produces 6,400 units per week and has 35 workplaces. Is the size pretty similar? Is it the same? It's the same. All right, this is the new one that I added. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. We're actually going to pause really fast. Let's see what happens if we pause. We're at 151 workers. If I went through and deleted all 4 of these on this side and instead replaced them with this new one that we received, that should increase the number of work that we have going on here. Now, it doesn't make much sense that they're digging down this way underneath of the road up and down, but we'll leave it. Where does that put our workers now? We're still at 151. It dropped to 118. We'll see if it can recover. It should at least stay at 151. I can't imagine it would drop that significantly without being able to reach back up to the top. Now, since this here is set to empty and it employs, I guess, 12 workers, or yeah, 5 of 12 workers. Oh my goodness, I can't see right in front of me. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. We're going to replace it with the new storage center that we have right here, which can employ, looks like 15 freight trucks. So I'm going to assume it's going to be able to employ 15 workers. Let's go ahead and slide this in here if we can. It looks like, again, we're going to have to do one of these little move it wiggles. So we're going to click on this here, keep that snapping selected, and move it right over to this space here. This can employ 17 workers. We'll leave this set to balanced. And then in addition to all of these, we can also build, we have the glass manufacturing plant. So this is going to take the ore we're producing and make glass out of it. So similarly to how we set up 4 of these metal manufacturing plants, I would like to set up 4 of these glass manufacturing plants. We could also think about moving glass production up to this top area here. All 4 of these facilities can access the ore that's here, can service these 4 glass plants, which can then store their goods in this facility, and then this facility can take that glass and go elsewhere to sell it. We could even think about adding, just in case we need it, a secondary like overflow warehouse in here. So maybe we'll do that. We'll place a second one here. It's also going to have glass. This one is going to be set to empty. If this ends up the balance, because they're producing so much, overflowing, they'll put the extra glass here and then we're just immediately going to sell it, which I think that is not too bad of an idea. Now we have 266 workers. And we also unlocked in all of this, I know we got a factory, but we're not going to build that right now. Instead, we are going to build these ore industry workers barracks. Now these work very similarly to the other workers barracks for the other industries we have. Each one increases the work efficiency by 5%, up to a maximum of 100%, and they all employ workers as well. Since this area here is still grass and kind of like overlooks the actual ore industry that we have, I think we kind of build a workers barracks area over here, and we're going to try to make it somewhat nice. Oh, and in all of this, we ended up reaching level 3. So we unlocked the rotary kiln plant, electronics factory, seabed mining vessel, and medium ore mine. So we're going to come back to those in just a second. Let me just finish quickly placing all these trees. And actually, before we do anything else, no, we'll do the fences in a second. But we have this almost nice little community that works in the ore mine down below. So this is looking good. The traffic is holding up pretty well so far. So let's go ahead and check out. Let's see where we're at. We've got 386 workers. Okay, and we're doing pretty good, it looks like, with production. We have enough for both. We did import some last month. That's okay. Let's go ahead and check out these new buildings. So we have the medium ore mine, which this produces 8,000 units per week with 30 workplaces. So it actually has less workplaces than the small ore mine, but it does look really cool. So we're going to have to think about our traffic flow here. This entrance road here is leading to all of the different extraction points. I want to keep the extraction points kind of all in the same direction. So why don't we come along here, and let me turn on our node tool again here. Let's go ahead and, oh, there we go. And let's bring this, I think, straight on up to about here. A nice 10 units works for me. And then we're going to curve this along the edge. Okay. Turning off the angle and doing a straight path this direction. We now have this area here that we can also use for some extraction. So let's place, how big are they? Let's place 3 of them. Yeah, I can't really fit them in this area. I would love to like maybe intersperse them a bit more. Let's do 2 for now. And at the end of the road, let's go ahead and place an additional storage center for these goods. So once we have all that together, we are going to need to kind of reconnect these paths up. So I think what we'll do is, this is the exit path here. So I'm going to want to kind of stick close to that if I can in some way. So if we had an exit path going out this direction with another road, this came down, right? And then this came over. There's that 90 that we're looking for. Let's go ahead and flip these 2 around. But I think we could do something like that, and it might make sense to kind of bring this road up and bring this over this way. And if we hold Alt, we can really fine tune it so that we're getting exactly the angle we want. And then that can be an exit. I don't know if this little square here will stay, but for now, we're going to hold on to it. Let's bring this road back on up. We're still doing a pretty decent job of, I think, separating out the storage and the processing from the other areas and other aspects of this mine. If we were to try to move this here, it does say it intersects. But if I anarchied this here, what does that intersection look like? It's pretty decent here, it looks fine, and it's not yet really intersecting too poorly there, because what I would love to do is put in a third one of these, but face it a different direction, so that we're kind of getting a different view of the same kind of moving pieces. So we've got these 3 extraction buildings here that are all servicing these different storage facilities that then service both the metal production and the glass production up top. Now let's see what we can do about this other piece we got. What is it here? The rotary kiln plant. So this employs 65 workers and produces 64 units per week, whereas the other metal creating plant employs 45 workers and creates half, which is 32,000 units per week. It's pretty beefy, but if we've got a storage unit here, we could easily stick in. I would love to put 2 in here. If I turn off anarchy and we have 1 here, turn anarchy back on, what does this intersection look like? Oh, we're totally fine. It's right above that road. So we could put both of these here, and you would be able to come in and you could either, if you're going to go to every single place in this process, you would be able to both stop at either any of these processing plants or extraction plants, hit this storage facility, and then come down this road to both of these. Or if you're looking just to get to both of these facilities, is there a way you can do that? You could come up this road and come straight on down. Do we want it that way? Is that working? I mean, it looks like we're working. I'm wondering if this here should go back to being a one way, but then you lose access to this factory, which is facing this way. This factory fills with metals, so if I am producing goods here that need to get to this factory, I have to leave, come down, come back over and back up again to get here. It's not ideal. That is not ideal. I wonder if it makes sense to have this go to a two-way road instead, so that if you are stopping at either of these facilities, you could just come down and go here, and then you could still exit here as well. But if you need to bypass, you can. Let's try that. Let's see how that holds up. And I'm actually going to, instead of rebuilding these, we're just going to drag them straight on down. So this here, it is filling relatively quickly. Would we benefit from adding in a larger facility? It could fit in here, and we could use this facility to store all of these goods. So why don't we go ahead and set this to empty really quick, and let's see if that can empty out, if we can then replace it with a larger factory. All right, and taking just a quick kind of look at the city, even though we do have decent number of people complaining about death, overall, the number of businesses complaining about not enough goods to sell is much less. I see one notice there, see one notice over here. There's none in this area of the city. There's one there. I think, though, this ore industry is really helping kind of solve that issue. So let me go ahead, and once this empties out, which it should be done any second, I'm going to replace that with a larger factory, and I'm going to do a touch of detailing really quickly. Okay, so I think this is actually where we're going to leave this part here. I did a little bit of detailing and changed this guy over to a larger factory. So now we have this large warehouse here. I keep calling it a factory. It's a large warehouse collecting all of the metal being produced by both of our rotary kilns as well as our ore grinding mills. And so far, as I've just kind of been watching this move, and watch me say this, knock on wood, and it stops working. But so far, the timing of all these trucks and the way things are spread out is working really well, and I'm not seeing any of these processing plants run out of goods really for very long, or if at all. So the lining or the lineup that we have here, or the way that this is moving, is working really nicely, and it seems like everybody's kind of moving in the way they're supposed to. There's not tons of traffic, even though we're processing tons of goods here. There's tons of materials moving in and out. There is not a lot of traffic happening in this area, and the highway connection seems to be holding up pretty well too. In terms of production, we are not yet at what we need for our second or our fourth level, and we're also not yet where we need to be with workers. However, I do think we might be able to get there with the current goods that we have here. Let's see if there was anything else we wanted to build. The only thing we haven't placed down is the seabed mining vessel, which has to be on the side of the water. And my only complaint about this is it's really meant for the sea, and this is more just like a river. So I don't think we'll be building that in this area. But so far, I mean, things are looking pretty good. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you have any suggestions on how we can change this. I know it's not necessarily perfectly realistic because we've got full-fledged factories and warehouses in this pit, but I like to think that maybe we've built this out over time and we decided to use the land here for maybe some more undesirable types of industry versus just leaving it empty like you would typically see in real life. And let's just do one more quick look. I see one need for goods here, one over here. But overall, I think we are kind of solving the goods issue with this new industry we have here. All right, guys, whoop, there's a sky. But here we go. This is what we're looking like. So we'll come back next week and we'll do a little bit more work on here and kind of make this our 5-star or industry of, well, I guess of our dreams, really. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. I'll see you in the next one.